Good afternoon, WC Radio. My name is Corey Rosen, and you are listening to the Story Podcast. Today, I have on a super awesome guest, but before we get into that, we have our merchandise out. So if you pre-ordered a t-shirt or a hoodie, be sure to message me, and I will get those hoodies and t-shirts out to you. Today, we have on a super awesome guest, Mr. Sam Schmidthuber. Sam Schmidthuber is an award-winning Nashville recording artist and country songwriter from Chester County, PA. He has had chart-topping hits, won awards domestically and overseas, and most recently won Songwriter Achievement of the Year at the Grand Ol Opry in Nashville, Tennessee. And he tours year-round and continues to grow his dream. Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. So let's get into it and talk about what really started your love for music, what got you into music, when did you start playing?
Right. Yeah. Honestly, man, my whole life has been music ever since I was a little kid. I remember being in preschool. The very first opportunity I ever got to sing, I had the Christmas pageant solo when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and that was the preacher of the chapel. I went to a Bible school when I was growing up as a kid, and the preacher said something about any kid that can belt that out has a God-given gift like that. And ever since then, it's kind of just been I've been singing as long as I can remember. I started playing guitar when I was right around the same age, about 5, 6 years old. I've been doing it my whole life. Play piano as well, a little bit of drums, a little bit of other stuff, but guitar and vocals is my main thing.
So at what point did you start writing your own music?
My first song that I ever wrote that came out when I was 13 years old on my very first album was a song called "On the Lake." That was more or less just summertime as a kid when I was growing up. One of my best friends growing up had a lake, and we used to just spend every day and every living hour of every day out on that lake when school was out. And being a kid, being adult now and being a kid, you kind of see like the differences in what you write about in music. You don't have all those life experiences yet when you're a kid, so you kind of come up with the easy things that you know as a kid, and then it gets more complicated, as you grow up.
Right. So you said first album at 13.
It was an EP. It had 5 songs on it,
Okay.
I think, but we went down to Nashville to record that one, and yeah, that was some of my very first original music out on that.
So how does a 13-year-old from Chester County, PA end up in a Nashville recording studio?
That's a great question. That's we just ended up there was a guy that was touring around here that I ended up doing a couple shows with, and just kind of he was from the area too, and he doesn't do it anymore, but he was from the area, and he owned a studio down in Nashville that was he owned it. He ended up buying it and owning it, but he had producers and whatnot in there that were top notch Nashville people, Nashville musicians, and all that. And we just after doing a couple shows, and I got some original songs together and whatnot, we just went down there one day and made it happen.
So what was it like to perform around as a 13-year-old?
Uh Honestly, it always felt natural to me. It's just always, even when I was a kid, I can remember it never being anything out of the ordinary. I've never had stage fright, I guess you could say, and really ever that I can remember. So it's just kind of always something that was meant to be what I'm doing, I guess.
That's awesome. So is it at that point you start getting some notoriety in the field, or?
Yeah, I would say, and as it grew, it's I was still in high school when I really started gaining some momentum, and doing a lot of shows every weekend, and I got to I believe I was right out of high school when no, I was still in high school, and I did some shows. I got my very first big show, which was the Turkey Hill Fall Fest. That was one of my biggest things when I was being a kid, and that was with Trace Adkins the first year that did that. So like that was when I was in high school is when it kind of really started, branching up a little bit and gaining some followers and whatnot.
So as a high schooler, what did your peers think about it, if they knew at all?
Uh it was not until I left, because I was in a Baptist school growing up all the way until 11th grade, and it was not until we switched to like a homeschool cyber school situation for my senior year, because I was touring so much and doing
Hmm.
shows so much. So it wasn't until then that anybody really knew about it.
That's
But
really interesting. So where from there? Do you go? How do you start touring as a young person? What are some of the things you have to worry about? What are some of the differences that you see now as opposed to back then?
Right. Honestly, I feel like nothing's changed a whole lot. Just besides, there's more opportunities when you're an adult, I
Of
guess,
course.
because you can't play some of the bars, you can't play some of the clubs, and um, I think being a kid, the biggest thing back then that I ran into was just people taking you seriously.
Really?
Yeah, just people taking the fact that you want to do this seriously. It was always, knock it off, go to college type kind of thing. But good thing we didn't do that.
Right, right. So, well, I guess you didn't go to college. You just kind of just did music for forever.
Yeah, I'm still doing music.
Is this a full-time thing for you?
It's not full time. I mean, it takes up a good majority of my time. And it's for before COVID, it was really really busy. I was doing a ton of shows, and now as I'm sure you've talked to other artists and stuff, there was a good couple years there where there was no shows, no touring, no doing anything, and it's even to now. I think we're still seeing some of the backlash of just getting shows put back on and stuff like that. And I'm doing a ton of shows this next year, and I did a ton of shows this year. But I'm a horseshoer full time, a farrier. That's what I
Oh,
do for a
really?
living. Yeah.
That's awesome. How'd you get into that?
Oh, my dad was a farrier, so
Oh, I
it kind
see.
of passed down.
Passed down. That's cool. So, we talked about a little bit of your songwriting as a kid. How did that evolve over as an adult? What were some of the more things you were drawing out from inside of yourself?
Right. When you're an adult, you have a lot more experience at that point. I mean, you have heartbreak, you have love, you have I'm married, I have a son, all that kind of stuff. So as you grow up, it's life becomes a lot more complicated than when you're a kid. So you have a lot more of stuff to write about, and you'll by the time I'm 50, I'll have plenty to write about
Right
then.
about that.
I'm sure I won't be able to pull it all together still, but plenty of stuff out there.
Let's talk about that a little bit. We were talking before the podcast a little bit about the songwriting techniques and the difficulties that both of us have within
Right.
that area. How does your songwriting process usually occur?
It honestly varies, man. A lot of the times with my songs, my entire life and still now, is I get some sort of hook, line and sinker line. I get some sort of 3-word phrase or some sort of idea, and sometimes the idea that I get doesn't end up actually being in the song, but I end up having some sort of line or something that catches my attention. I'm like, I can write a song about that. And then honestly, for me, it kind of varies a lot. I would say I've had some songs that one of my strong suits, I would say, is I'm a pretty decent country kind of lead guitar player. And so there's some songs that I'll just like jam over this chord progression and rip out stuff, and then sometimes ideas come from that. And then there's sometimes where I just get that line and I write with it. I always joke one of the songs I think are going to play today is I tend to write songs in the shower.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know I don't know what inspires that or what makes that happen, but I tend to do it. And like I always like the song "Rebound to Ringbound" that you have lined up here is I got that line that day, and I put it down on my phone, and I just like went about my day. And I was in the shower that night, and that line popped back in my head, and I was like standing in the shower with my phone outside of the shower curtain like writing this song. And I literally like head to toe wrote this song in like 5 minutes in the shower.
Wow.
And and I got out of the shower and had to dry myself off and run upstairs and grab the guitar and put some chords and melody to this song, because I had sort of the idea in my head what I maybe wanted, but I was also just like having lines come through, and I was just writing them down as it came. And a lot of the times that's how it goes for me. I've never written a song the same way twice, I would say.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
It's always funny how you're doing something where you're not supposed to be songwriting or
Right.
anything at all, and that's when it comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even more of a point to always have something to write with.
Yes.
No matter
yes.
what.
And these phones really help these days, having having those notes
Absolutely.
on there, because I've had a lot of songs where that I've just written them on my phone.
Even voice memos. I've been using voice memos
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot
I
more.
always record. I always record like a rough demo on my phone with just a guitar and me. If I once the song's finished, you know.
So we have Rebound and Ringbound. Let's talk about this. What is it specifically about? And we talked about the songwriting process, but what was it like from that moment to bring it all together, the arrangement, stuff like that?
Right, right. So the song is more or less this was a great way of kind of, you know, showing how songwriting evolves over your lifespan and whatnot. And it was so the idea came to me. You know, have you ever had a rebound? You ever break up with somebody? You have a rebound
Just
girl.
go off somebody. Yep.
Yeah. So I think everybody has had a rebound at some point in their life, and I chose to marry mine. And so it's one of those things where it's as a songwriter, you take truths and you take ideas that are true, and then you dramatize them and you know, make up, you know, some of it's true, some of it's a dramatic version of the truth. But I just took this song and I kind of started rolling with it, and the song's just kind of, you know, it starts off more or less, you meet somebody, you end up, you know, hanging out with them, doing your thing, whatever, and you end up, you know, that rebound that you thought was just a rebound or like a little patch for your heart was actually turns into something more. So, you know, rebound to ringbound, and you end up marrying them by the end of the song. So that's kind of how that came to be.
That's awesome. Let's take a listen to it, actually.
Yeah,
This
let's do
is
it.
Rebound to Ringbound by Sam Schmidthuber.
I was hurt, trying to escape all the pain that put me in my place. Trying to see the world through a different kind of misery. Rolled to the bar and got out of my car. I went inside and ordered up a jar. There you were, sitting right down next to me. We were rebound, falling in the sheets, trying to drown out all the memories that were white picket fence wrapped around a couple oak trees. Yeah, and we were last call, stumbling to our car, now a white dress, walking down the hall. Ain't it funny how some things change, you see. Rebound or ringbound. Never thought I'd fall this hard for a girl that I saw in a bar. Something about those blue eyes did me in. Never thought I'd see you again. I woke up and you were lying in my bed. I remember doing a double take. Yeah, 'cause we were rebound, falling in the sheets, trying to drown out all the memories that were white picket fence wrapped around a couple of trees. Yeah, and we were last call, stumbling to our car, now a white dress, walking down the hall. Ain't it funny how some things change, you see. Rebound or ringbound. Ain't it funny how some things change, you see. We were rebound, falling in the sheets, trying to drown out all the memories. Now a white picket fence wrapped around a couple of trees. Yeah, we were last call, stumbling to our car, now a white dress, walking down the hall. Ain't it funny how some things change, you see. Yeah, ain't it funny how some things change, you see.
And that was Rebound to Ringbound by Sam Schmidthuber. I am very curious. How did your wife take that?
Yeah. I always say I write what I write, and it's some of it's true, some of it's false, but it's she likes it. She's
That's good.
Very supportive of it.
How old is your son old enough to listen to your music, or?
Yeah, so he sometimes if he's crying, will like pull me up on the TV or something, and that kind of helps him out. He'll be a year on the 1st of December,
Okay.
so
So not old enough to be like, my dad's my favorite.
Can't appreciate it yet, but he definitely. I mean, even anytime music comes on at all, it always catches his attention. So I think he's gonna maybe have some sort of something to do with music at some point in his life.
And so that's also one of your newer singles as well.
Yeah. It's Rebound or Ringbound is the my most recent single as of right now. Yeah.
So what's the process of recording that and then distributing that?
Yeah, so this was the first time. No, I lied. It's not the first time. The first time I did it was a Christmas song last year. But this was up until this point in my life, I always went down to Nashville to record. I always worked with their producers. I did a lot of the lead guitar stuff myself. I did a lot of the music, and the musicians were Nashville musicians. It's hard to find. It's not hard to find because they're everywhere, but like you cannot go to Nashville and not find a good musician. Like there's everybody's down there, just like even all over the world, they just blow your socks off no matter where you're from. And not to say that there's not a million great musicians anywhere else, but like it's just that's the city of music,
Right.
And this was the first time, besides the Christmas song that we did last year, this was the first time that I recorded this song here at home, and I recorded it in a buddy of mine's studio. And me and all the musicians that I grew up with, learning music with, that are all like my age and we all kind of came up together in music. We all got together and we recorded this song together. And honestly, I think that I love all the songs I did in Nashville, and I'm thankful for all of them. But I think that this was really probably the best recording I've ever done, and I stayed home and did it with my friends.
Yeah, that's what I say. I would have thought that this would have been one of the ones you recorded down in Nashville.
Yeah,
It sounds so good.
It turned out really awesome. And the guy Chris that produces for me up here now, and we're doing a whole new album this upcoming season to have out for springtime. And he's one of those guys. He's a really good producer. He's not really a country producer either. He's just done music his wole life. He's just a producer, and he. I say that I was trying to think of the other day of like why we work well together, and he lets me run when I need to run, I think, but he also knows how to rein me in a little bit. And so there's some things where I'll be playing guitar, and he's like, no, you gotta step back a little bit on that, or this part you really need to rip that one, or something like that. So he's really good at kind of balancing out what I need and do as an artist. So it's been cool.
That's the main thing as a producer that you need to be able to do. You need to be able to let your musician fly when they need to fly, and you need to have them land when they need to land.
Right.
There's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to be confident enough to tell them that.
Yeah, and you have to, obviously there's no egos about it either. You got to do what's best for the song,
Yeah, the point of any song is the song itself.
Right.
You can always save fancy stuff or more laid back stuff for a different song.
Right. Yeah, everything has its place,
That's right. So this song has done well for you. You got an award from it.
Yeah, I was nominated for Songwriter Achievement of the Year down at the Josie Music Awards, and that was the Josies are the world's largest independent artist award. So to be qualified to get in there, you have to be. There's thousands and thousands of nominations, so to get nominated in itself is really cool, and you have people from all over the world there. But you have to be, you can have an independent label behind you, but you can't be like a mainstream, signed to Capitol Records type artist, to be involved in that. And you have guys that are making millions, doing great, but they're independent artists, and this is the time that this is the award show that spotlights those people. And it was hosted at the Grand Ol Opry this year, which is obviously like a career topping kind of thing.
So what was the process like for that for you? Did you have to submit something, or did other people have to submit something, and then?
Yeah, I'm not sure how I got nominated. I've won a couple awards with them, and honestly, any award I've ever won anywhere, I'm not sure how I got nominated for. You just kind of get a letter in the mail that you've been nominated for this. But yeah, that's you get nominated and you go down and you hope you win something.
And this one you did win.
Yes, this was nominated and actually won Songwriter Achievement of the Year.
So what was that like? Did you get up to go there and give a speech, or?
Yeah, you get to get up on stage and say a little thing and accept your reward. And now I have a nice little plaque that's sitting at home, so that's cool.
And is that one that you said you've won multiple Josie Awards? Or?
Yeah, I won Vocalist of the Year, and I can't remember if I won Vocalist of the Year twice or if I did Vocalist of the Year and Artist of the Year. But it might be in my bio. It's horrible of me to not know, but I know I won Vocalist of the Year the 1 year, and I won something. Yeah, Vocalist of the Year both times, I think. And that was one of them was when I was underage, and I got a like the young adult Vocalist of the Year, and then last year we went down, and I won that award last year as well.
So has that done anything for your career thus far, or do you get reached out by bigger names?
Yeah, I think that not only do you get bragging rights, I would say.
Of course.
I mean, it definitely helps you out to put it in a bio and send it to a venue or whatever like that. But I think anything, and even when if you look at like the CMA awards, I think like the big time or like the Grammys or whatever, it doesn't. It's more so helping validate you as an artist, I would say. It's not necessary, you don't win a Grammy and get $1 million when you win it. It's they pay to be there just like you would any other award show, but you get that validation, I think, and people, when you can say that you have some awards behind you and under your belt, I think that people kind of start to look and recognize, be maybe this guy has something going for him, or maybe we should give this guy a chance.
So with all of these achievements, you've also gotten to meet some crazy people within the country industry. Tell me about that. Who are some of your favorites that you've been able to work with? And
I my favorite show ever was getting to open up for Brad Paisley. Brad's been one of my ever since I could play guitar, I think I've been trying to rip Brad off of his tone. And I have not successfully done that yet, but in the stages of doing that, I've successfully kind of nailed down my tone at this point. But I think I've always kind of, in terms of like guitar playing and stuff, even songwriting. I mean, you listen to some of his songs that he writes, and they're quirky and they're weird, but like it's also kind of like really genius type stuff. So he's definitely been one of the biggest artists that inspired me. So getting to do a show with him and talk with him and all that kind of stuff, it's cool.
We also have Trace Adkins, Rodney Atkins, David Lee Murphy, all these other great country artists. What is it like to go into a room and you see all these people here? Do you ever guys get to jam out, or is it just casual conversation?
It's kind of hit or miss because they have their people too that
Right,
kind of steer them in their ways. But I've noticed that, it might be this way for other genres, but I've never done other genres. I've noticed in the country world, like if you're backstage at a show and hey man, hey Trace Adkins, I opened for you, like how you doing? They'll thank you for opening the show and they'll talk to you and they'll you sounded awesome out there, man, or all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of these guys, all these guys I've gotten to have pretty extensive conversations with, and they're just nice people.
That's awesome. So what has been one of the best things that anyone has ever said about you from those, like Brad Paisley or Trace Adkins? Or
man, that's a tough one. I'd have to kind of search back in my files here. I think I did a New Year's Eve show one time with an old time country guy, Ronnie McDowell. I don't know if you remember his name or not. He had that song Older Women and a couple other songs, but I did a show with him a handful of years ago, and I think he said something along the lines of not everybody can sing. Not everybody can sing well. Not everybody has intonation, and you have intonation. And that kind of, at the time when they say it to you, it's like, oh, what does that mean? But then you go and you think about it, and you think, for me being a musician, intonation. When I think of intonation, I think of a guitar, where when you're setting up a guitar, you have to have the intonation right, and it's you pluck a string and it's it's tuned to E, and then you hit a harmonic up top, and it's not off at all. It's still an E. And when you kind of break that down a little bit, it's like, I guess he was kind of saying, you never really, you're always on, I guess. And to have that kind of compliment, especially from somebody like that with that kind of career, was pretty cool. I think that'd probably be one of the tops for me.
That's amazing. You have some new stuff coming out. You said you're in the works of building an album. What is that like? Is there anything different?
Yeah, so we have, I believe it's going to be a 10-song album. It might not be totally full length, but it's about a 10-song album. And we're going to have, I've had, like, Rebound was a single, so Rebound's going to be on that album as well. But I have, over the past handful of years, and there's even been songs I've dug out from years ago that I totally forgot I had, and I was just looking, you talking about the voice memo on your phone, I was looking through the voice memo on my phone, I was like, what is this? And I played it, and I was like, maybe I sounded bad back then or whatever, but I was like, this song's really good, and so there's a couple songs I've pulled out that I'm going to have on there, some songs I've written in the past year or two that I'm going to have on there, and then there's going to be collaboration at the end of that me and a couple other local artists put together, and that'll be coming out before the album, but that'll be on the album. And I also I'm pretty good buddies with a guy named Bill DeLuigi down in Nashville. He's from Downingtown, Pennsylvania, but he moved down there, and he writes songs for full time for a living. Had tons of stuff that you would know if I named him off, and he actually had something to do with another song of mine that I think we'll get to in a little bit. But I have one song that's gonna go on this album that him and a couple other people wrote. I forget the one guy's name, but one of them is Kiersey Manna, and she had, like, Austin for Blake Shelton. She wrote that song and, like, all this other stuff. So there's some really cool songwriting going on here.
What is it like to collaborate with people on that level on a song?
Yeah,
certainly that must be a little nerve-wracking.
I think when you more so than nerve-wracking, I think it's that when you're an artist, because I write my own songs obviously too, but when you cut somebody else's song, it's especially when they have names like that and songs like that under their belt, it's like, I better not mess this one up,
Yeah,
like,
right.
This song needs to be good. This song needs to be successful.
There's a standard here.
These guys' paycheck kind of rely on this, like you gotta do it right. But yeah, I just think it's just doing justice for the song.
That's awesome, man. And that's coming out in spring.
Yeah, we're shooting for somewhere around April, May.
So we have one of your previous songs. Here's a question that I was curious about. How do you think your voice, starting at like 9 or 13, clearly it's had some changes over the years?
Right. I pretty much when I started performing, I always had like that lower voice, even when I was a young kid. But like I think listening back, my voice hasn't changed, more so as I've mastered it more. Like it's the same voice, but I've obviously matured a little bit, gotten a little bit more, maybe not deeper, but more wider, and stretched the sound out a little bit, and I have more of a range now probably than I used to, when I was a kid. But I think it's just more of defining my voice.
No, that's a really good way to put it, because you can have, obviously your voice changes as you go through puberty and whatever
Right.
whatnots. But the main importance is mastering that voice,
Yeah,
and refining it and
Yeah.
fine tuning it. The comment about intonation can even go towards your voice. Some people have really great singing voices; they can't sing a scale.
Right.
Right.
I don't even know if I can sing a scale.
But to your point, like just learning how to master your voice and
Yeah.
learning how to listen to yourself without cringing, or without
Right.
actually taking the time to go through. Oh, I made that mistake. I had to work on this. I have to open up my mouth. I have to.
Right. I think
raise
it's
my
funny that you
palate.
mentioned cringing too, because like I think no matter, you could have like the best freaking song that you ever did, but like I think as an artist we always sit and be like,
Yeah, right.
that kind of sucked.
Yeah, it's always funny. Everyone else is like, "Oh, that song! I love that song." It's like,
Yeah, and nobody else maybe would even notice, but there might be like one little tiny part that you were like, I could have sang that better, or whatever. But
but it's just out there, and you just have to live with it.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure every artist, all the way up to the most famous of stars, probably feels the same way.
Absolutely. And it's another point. At some point, you have to realize there is no perfect song.
Right.
There is no perfect performance either.
Yeah, and it also kind of shows who you are as an artist growing.
Yeah.
I mean, it you can look back at those kind of things and, just realize how better or hopefully not worse that you've gone.
So let's take a look back at one of your original songs, Unsung.
Yeah, let's take a listen to it, man. This was I wrote this one about a trip to Georgia. My mother's side is from Georgia, and my grandmother was passing away, and this was kind of that trip of, the last time you see the person, what happened, the craziness of getting there while you're getting phone calls that somebody's, dying, and you hope that you can get there in time. And it's not a sad song by any means, but this was kind of the inspiration for that one.
With that said, this is Unsung by Sam Schmidthuber.
Wish I knew what you knew that day. We left that Georgia red clay. You said we'll never see you again, and I wondered why. I smiled and said we'd be back by mid-July. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw you wave goodbye. I could change one thing, now that you're gone, I'd go back, sing you that song, the one I didn't that day. I'd sit down with that old guitar, watch your smile as I sung from my heart, the unsung song. Know you're in a better place than you were that day. And when I sing that song now, I can hear you singing along. If I could change one thing, now that you're gone, I'd go back, sing you that song, the one I didn't that day. I'd sit down with that old guitar, watch your smile as I sung from my heart, the unsung song. You're proud of me. I really wish you could see all that's happening to me. If I could change one thing, now that you're gone, I'd go back, sing you that song, the one I did that day. I'd sit down with that old guitar, watch your smile as it sung from my heart, the unsung song.
And that was Unsung by Sam Schmidthuber. What an interesting song.
Yeah.
For sure,
Yeah.
especially with all the backing vocals and everything too. So did you just get like a group of people and just?
The people that I recorded with at that studio, this was done down in Nashville. The people that I recorded with, the ones that you're hearing on that, she toured with Conway Twitty for years
Really?
as his background vocalist. So there was some of that maybe I would change nowadays. Some of it I wouldn't. But it was, when we want to talk about background vocals in itself, that's something I cannot do. I cannot sing harmony to save my life for anything. and everybody has their place in that, I guess. So I think that it's a talent in its own to be able to just sing harmony.
Absolutely. It's one thing to sing, everyone can sing a melody, right? But to have that in your brain and then think of, okay, what notes fit with that
Right.
properly and what
Yeah.
sounds good or what does the song require? Because harmony is so vast and so limited at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So you have a tour coming up as well.
Yeah, we do. We the Rebound Tour is what we're calling it, based off of the that last song that we released. But there's a handful of dates. I think we have 10 or so right now, and there's a ton. There's more booking up every day as I'm speaking. But we have a tour coming up. A lot of local stuff, a lot of traveling too. We're going out west a little bit, going down south, and I'm bringing out a buddy of mine, Colin King, to open up the shows for us, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a fun time.
So what is it like to plan that out? What phone calls do you have to make? What's the budget look like? Is it just going to be you in a van, or is it going to be you in a bus, or whatever?
Right. We're working out some of those details. Now, touring is one of those things where, especially if you have a band with you, you got to make sure that everybody's at least getting a little something out of it, and you gotta also have the your manager, your band, your people that you work with all need to be like, no matter what, whether it's like the band itself or it's like in my situation where it's like an artist and I have a band behind me, everybody needs to kind of be like 110% behind that guy, whoever that guy may be, or whatever that band is. They need to be 100% there, and that's the only way to. Everybody might take a loss once in a while. Everybody might make a lot of money the one time or whatever. It's everybody just has to kind of be on board with that.
So, is this your first tour coming back from the pandemic?
I've been doing shows pretty often since pandemic, but this is going to be the first actually getting in a RV or whatever and traveling around and doing that kind of thing.
What are your expectations as to regards to the things that have changed or maybe not changed so much?
I think it's going to be cool to see some of these different places, and the main thing that you get from touring, I would say, is just new people, new fans, new people that like your music and stuff, and more so than like even making a living at it or anything. Like, the number one thing that you're doing with touring is getting people to know who you are.
Yeah, touring is used for if you're a smaller person, that is, touring is used for exposure, for reaching new people. If you're like Elton John or anything, it's
that's how you make your money.
That's how you make your money at that point. Yeah,
right.
But I'm excited to see you, and I'll keep in contact with you afterwards. I'm excited to see what you find out from me.
You'll have to catch a show or two. We'll get you some tickets to something local here.
Yeah, what are some shows that you have coming up for those who are interested?
We have, give me 1 second, I'll pull it up so I don't mess up any dates for anybody. But we have locally, I'm going to be, me and that collaboration I talked to you about, that's going to end up on that album that we have. I'm not going to announce what we did quite yet, but me, Colin King, Cody Tyler, a couple local guys around here, we got together and we cut this song. And so the first show that's kind of technically part of this tour is going to be at the Gem Spring City Speakeasy. Used to be Chaplin's way back, but it before it was Chaplin's, it was the Gem in like the 1900s, and it was a speakeasy. So they're kind of coming around to kind of like revamping that original old school vibe that they're doing. So we're going to do a songwriting writers round situation between the three of us, and then end the night with that song that we put out. But then as regards to me, the 17th of December, pretty locally, I'll be at Johnny Hunn's Smokehouse with the band. I'm going to have a personal show at the Gem. I have going out to Jonestown, PA to play the Gable Inn. The two really big ones that I'd love to invite everybody out to and really fill the place is we're playing the Water Tower stage at the Works in Arnold's in Oaks, PA.
Okay.
And I'm headlining the Boyertown State Theater in Boyertown, Pennsylvania, and that's the show at the Water Tower is the 11th of February, and Boyertown is the 10th of June. So
And-
those are ones that, like, if anybody wants to really help us out and come sell those out, those are going to be, that's the best.
And just for fun's sake, where can people find you at as well? Facebook, website?
Yeah, I'm on my website's www.samschmidthuber.music.com. My Facebook is Sam Schmidthuber Music, and my Instagram is Sam Schmidthuber Official.
And if you're curious on how to spell all of that, all of those links.
SCHMIDTHUBER. Turn it into a song like I did when I was a kid, and then you'll figure it out.
It really is how you did.
Yeah, that's
so
how
funny.
it was. It was SCHMIDTHUB, and it just kind of kept going. I was listening to my mom on the phone with an insurance agency one time, and they could not figure out how to spell this name, and it was just SCHMIDTHUBER. And next thing you know, I was chanting this thing, and I knew how to spell my name at that point.
Oh, that's so funny. That's like the song "I Am a C."
Yeah,
I am a CH.
yeah. That's funny. I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's the same exact thing.
That's awesome. And all those links will also be in the description of the video as well if you want to just do it that way. So let's talk about country music, where it's going, where it's been, and what you want to do with it.
Yeah, that's we could talk about this one for hours, but I think to really sum it down, I grew up with the 90s country. That was like Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson, George Strait, John Michael Montgomery, like all those guys where you had compressed, twangy Telecaster guitars and just down-home country music. And that was the 90s country, in my opinion, was the greatest that country has ever been. And I think that
You're gonna make some of the older people really mad with that one.
Yeah, no, I'll make some of the young people pissed off about it too. But I think that my music personally, I am somewhere in the middle of that. I have steel guitars, I have twangy guitars, I have all that kind of stuff. But I also have, I appease to the new fan bases as well. And I think that country music in itself there's a lot of artists right now that I would not to diss or anything, but I would not listen to, and I would not call them country music. It doesn't belong on country radio when you're rapping in your song. You know, it just doesn't work that way. And right now, country is just such a broad spectrum, and you have people that are not country seeing this opportunity to maybe make their career being country, so they like jump in there real quick and try to throw something in there. But you have a lot of guys that are independent, and like the Texas country, like right now is awesome. Like Cody Johnson and like some of those guys, they're killing it right now. They're winning CMA awards left and right, and they're independent. They run themselves, and they sound like country music. It's
really been interesting because over the past few years, country rap has kind of sort of been a thing, especially like with Georgia Florida Line and them introducing that kind of style.
Right.
It's been really interesting to watch what I would consider pop country.
Right.
Kind of really expand into the farthest reaches of what you could actually call country, short of having a southern accent.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really all it is. It's somebody that may be from the South rapping a song, and it's kind of
southern rap at that point.
Yeah.
So, what do you think defines a country song?
I think some of my favorite country songs are the ones that tear your heart out. Are the ones that just like make you sit down and think about whatever that song is talking about. And there's plenty of fun songs, and I write plenty of fun songs, and I sing plenty of fun songs, and like our shows have plenty of alongside originals covers of just like my favorite songs. And I think that to be a country song, I say this about a song that we haven't played yet, but one of my most successful songs is More Than a Stone. And in my opinion, this song is, I say it all the time, I say it at every show, this song is what country music is. So
let's talk about that a little bit. We have it lined up. What is More Than a Stone?
So More Than a Stone was a song that I did not write this song. I got together with Bill DeLuigi and Jameson Rogers, who, I don't know if you follow country music at all right now. He was touring with Luke Combs for a while. He's got a ton of great hits. And Dustin James is another guy down there that is just phenomenal with songwriting. And Bill pitched this song to me, and what happened right before COVID really set in, I signed a record deal down in Nashville. And I won't name the record, the the label, and I won't go into all that kind of stuff. But it was a big deal, and it went south really fast when it's just they did what Nashville did, and I had to buy myself out of it, and it was a whole ordeal. And thank God that I did. But we one of the good things that did come from that was this song, because we sat down with these guys in Nashville and figured out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to songs I wanted to put out. And they pitched me hundreds of songs, and this was the very first song that I was pitched. And right off the bat, I was like, this is one of them. And like I said, it's what country music is about. It's about doing something greater than yourself.
With that said, this is More Than a Stone by Sam Schmidthuber.
Whoa, whoa. I bet the bud and bloom is running out of flowers. First Baptist Church is full. They've been lining up for hours. Every soul in town turned out. People drove for miles around. He touched a lot of lives, left a lot of love behind. I wanna make the most of these years. I wanna live so people know I was here. Give more than I take, fix more than I break. I wanna make sure when I'm gone, I'm gonna leave more than a stone. Whoa, whoa. Gonna coach some little league. They've been saying that they need one. Tip a waitress way too much. Tell a stranger about Jesus. Try to do the little things. Go and plant a couple seeds and pray that they grow strong. Oh no, no. I wanna make the most of these years. I wanna live so people know I was here. Give more than I take, fix more than I break. I wanna make sure when I'm gone, I'm gonna leave more than a stone. People know I was here. Give more than I take, fix more than I break. I wanna make sure when I'm gone, I'm gonna leave more than a stone. Oh, 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 I'm gonna leave more than a stone.
That was More Than a Stone by Sam Schmidthuber. You can find all of his music as well on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes.
Yeah, everywhere digitally that you can get music at.
So they just handed you a bunch of songs and said, choose for this.
More or less, yeah.
More or less. How much pressure does that put on you?
Maybe a little bit, but I think that it's at the end of the day, it's my career and kind of what's best for me. So I think they all understand that too. I mean, not every song fits every person.
Of course.
So it's kind of, but like we talked about earlier, once you do pick that song, it's, these guys have a lot on the line for you. Because they could be pitching this song to Luke Bryan or somebody that is going to make them a lot more money right then than I will, but
and a lot quicker.
But they put their faith in you to do it, so you do it justice.
And so what came out of this?
So this song, More Than Stone, has been, it went number one on one of the largest independent country charts in the country, and it sat at number one for a couple weeks there. And then also it won an award overseas for being one of the best songs overseas. It was a award show in Holland, it was a big show in Holland. It's like their CMAs over in Holland, and
Really?
they won. It won Song of the Year there, and it's done really well for me. I mean, this is kind of everybody that knows me as an artist. Kind of this is a song that they think about when they think of me.
That's awesome. So, and you had mentioned that you got this through the record company. So, what are some advantages, disadvantages that come with that?
Yeah, the advantages of having a label, I think, and there's some things in the works that I'm gonna not talk about quite yet, but there's the advantages to having a label is again with like the credibility. You have somebody behind you that supports you and maybe has a little bit more of the money to back you, or the connections to get you shows, or on radio, or all that kind of stuff. So the advantage of a independent label is that you can do all those things, still get to the level that you want to get to, but not sell yourself out. You don't have somebody that controls every waking move that you make, and that's my dream as an artist. I want to sell out stadiums. That's my goal as an artist. That's what I want to do. But I want to do that with an independent label that runs itself, that I can be like, no, I don't want to do that, or yeah, let's do this. I want to always have a hand in what I'm doing.
And there's always something to be said for authenticity when it comes to that kind of stuff as well.
Right.
Because corporate music can become very corporate-y.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Very fast. Yeah.
And that's not what music is really about anyway.
Right. We're all stewards of a song, really.
Exactly. If it makes money, great. But it's all about the song and the music writing and the experience that gives people.
Right.
So I have some general questions I'd like to ask everybody before we head out. That last song was a little bit of a religious song. Are you yourself religious?
I am, yeah.
And how does that play into your songwriting or your playing at any point?
I think it does. I'm also, I grew up going to a Baptist school. I grew up with family members that were Catholics, so I'm this weird somewhere in between there. And but I think that it really influences me and what I do on a day-to-day basis, but I also don't. I'm pretty private about it. God knows where I stand with Him, and I think that at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. So I might sing a drinking song, and I might sing a song about Jesus. So it's kind of, and that's what country music is too. So
right, of course, yeah, quite often intertwined.
Yeah. I think it's I am what I am.
No, that's completely understandable. Some people are called to be the evangelical.
Right.
Some people are called just to be the singer.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So, what is one thing that you know now that you wish you had known when you first started your craft?
Just don't listen to people.
That's very fair.
Don't whether it's good or bad. Just don't. I mean, obviously take advice and stuff, but don't listen to any of the BS or whatever that can come your way from.
Right. Don't
people.
take criticism, invalid criticism to heart.
Right. Take constructive criticism, move on, learn from it, etc. But don't listen to just the naysayers.
Yeah. Anybody who says you're just trash without any reason or rhyme to it.
There's a lot of jealousy too that I've learned.
Exactly.
Anytime we do anything, there's other, and you hate to say it because like being an independent artist, you want to be right there with all the other independent artists, but there's a lot of times where like you might get a bone before somebody else, and it's like they hate you all of a sudden.
It's something that I think this area is really good about actually. Just because someone got the opportunity that you did not doesn't mean your life is over.
Right. And your time's coming too, like everything happens at its own pace.
Exactly. And and it's you should be encouraging each other anyway, because you're all trying to do the same thing, trying to
Right.
play music,
Right.
right? You're trying, and it doesn't help the music community if you start beef with people, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, sure. If you're on the upper echelons, maybe that's kind of worth it. But on a small level, that's gonna get you. That's gonna push you further behind
Right.
than it will
Right.
pull you forward. You have to be supportive of your peers, your colleagues,
Right.
and that's how you're gonna get yourself pushed further than not. No one likes a sore loser at that
Right.
point,
Right.
especially
I
on the
agree.
small level. These people don't have time for that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody has their own lives, and you never know who's going to help you too. You might
No.
totally bash somebody, and then next thing you know, they're a national touring artist, and they might want to take you out on tour with you, and next thing you know, they remember that time in 2015 when you said that they sucked or something like that. So you never want to burn those bridges.
No, never want to burn bridges, and because, like you said, possibilities. Because you don't think someone's good enough doesn't mean other people don't either.
Right. Everybody, different
Everyone,
strokes for different folks.
yeah, exactly. Just be yourself and be a good person. That's
Yeah,
all.
that's
That's
all
literally
there
all
is
it
to
takes.
it. All there is to it.
What is one of the most speaking about like mistakes and stuff? What are some of the bigger mistakes that you have made, or as a country artist, and how can we prevent those for the future?
Yeah, I think I don't think I've had any like horrible goof ups yet. I've had a lot of really good people in my corner that have been able to kind of guide me through things. I think it's really just you just don't miss opportunities. Just that's the one thing. There's been times that like I've gotten sick or something. I've had to cancel a show, and then it was like, well, crap, that would have been really good.
Mhm.
There's some things like that you don't. But in terms of like big mistakes, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything really like detrimental that I would be like, you don't do that again. But
Right.
I guess I've been fairly fortunate in that aspect.
Well, that's good. What is one of the best or worst things that ever happened during a show? Your guitar falls off, or
Yeah,
string?
I've had that happen plenty of times. Acoustic shows is always the worst when you break a string, because then you don't have anybody to cover up for you while you're to hide that fact. You just have this giant ting, and then you gotta go off stage and fix it. But I've had straps break on me and guitars fall on the ground and stuff like that. I've possibly tripped and fallen off of something at some point in my life. But I think, yeah, I mean, the drunk people sometimes that you encounter with these shows is kind of the funniest part of this, and can sometimes be the worst part of your show.
Right.
Sometimes they're great entertainment. Sometimes it's just like, I wish I was big enough to have a security guy to tell them to leave. So
Leave.
that could be part of it too.
That's awesome, man. Where can people find you and your music?
I am, like we said earlier, I have a Facebook page, I have a Instagram page, a website, all that kind of stuff. It's all Sam Schmidthuber Music. Music's on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, everywhere that you can get music at.
So, I've had a wonderful time today.
Yeah, me too, man. I really thank you for having me out. This is cool.
Of course, man. Be sure to follow Sam everywhere and everywhere. We have his links in the description if you would like help. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. My name is Corey Rosen. This is the Story Podcast. You can follow us on every platform as well. Facebook.com/The Story Corey Rosen. Instagram at @the_story_podcast. We have a website coming up, CoreyRosenProductions.com, where you can find out more about me and the show at large. If you want to check out one of our other episodes, we have another show tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. with Johnny B. the Storyteller. He is a swamp rock musician, does a lot of cool stuff, and I'm really excited to talk to him then. With all that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. And also, by the way, if you have ordered or pre-ordered a sweatshirt, please be sure to message me, because we have those now, and we can actually get those out to you. With all that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. We'll see you guys later. Bye.